You've tuned in to chipsgrooveradio with Mike and Jesse.
Crazy stuff in gaming lately.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The flight of the Concorde has fallen. It has not gone very far.
Oh my God. So I didn't even know that Concorde was a thing.
Me either.
Until, I didn't even know it was coming out. I had not seen any marketing for it. I didn't know what the deal with it was. And the only reason I even found out that it was coming out or going to be a thing was because I was trying to find a place to do a pre-order for the Astrobot game that came out as of recording today.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the Masterbot DualShock controller, which is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Oh my God, it's got eyeballs on the little
really?
Pad that's on the controller that blink and shit at you. It's incredible.
Was that a pre-order today too?
That ostensibly came out today, but the GameStop that I ordered my game from didn't get their shipment of controllers. They said it should be in tomorrow or
nice.
or Monday. But anyway, yeah, it's the only reason I found out that Concorde was a thing was because I was panicking when it was time for the pre-orders for this controller because it sold out instantly everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And
then I saw that there was a Concorde controller, and I was like, "Oh, that thing looks kind of cool. It's a neat design. I kind of like it. Maybe if I can't get my hands on an Astrobot one, I'll get that instead because we've only got 3 controllers in the house, and we wanted to get a 4th one anyway. Mm-hmm. For when people come over and stuff. And I've never gotten a game specific or a licensed controller at all. I just have regular, DualShocks. So that's how I found out that Concorde was going to be a thing. And then the next thing I saw about it was earlier this week when after the game had been out for, I think, 7 days.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah, they PlayStation or Sony, I guess, announced that they were going to be pulling the game, removing it from digital stores, and refunding everybody who bought the game. And anybody who picked up physical copies could reach out to their retailer and receive a refund from them. And Sony would be, of course, reimbursing.
It's so crazy because again, like you, I didn't know about this game. I've been a little out of the loop recently, but it come to find out doing a little bit of research, it's been lacking in reception since before it came out. People just didn't really take to the idea, I guess. And even the beta version, they had to open it up to everyone. Initially it was only for people who pre-ordered it, but they weren't getting pre-orders, so they okay, well, let's just open it up to everyone. And then after it released, it was getting maybe up to 650 players at their peak.
Oh my
and it's
God.
Ugh.
That's horrible.
It was just fluctuating between 350 and 650 during beta or so. I don't know. It did not do well. And I didn't know about this game until it was out. And I was browsing the PlayStation Store. I'm like, oh, Concorde, that looks interesting. Didn't even click on it. I just saw it. And the next thing I hear about it, it's canceled. They were refunding everyone their money. I was like, Jesus, didn't that game just come out?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is.
I don't even know what the deal with it is. I think that it's supposed to be kind of like an Overwatch clone or something. It says it's a hero
I think that's
FPS.
the problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a hero FPS 5v5. And it just, I guess, I mean, this is a testament to the times, right? It's a pay-to-play kind of game where it's a live service, so you're going to be built for money every turn.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and I don't know that this is the case, but hopefully this is a sign that people aren't interested in that anymore because I'm sick of it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at some of the stuff, about the game, like character designs, how it's supposed to play. And it just even they say that the game was in development for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 years. So like pretty long development time frame. And it says they spent, well, I mean, they haven't disclosed how much money they spent on it, but it was a lot, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you look at the character designs and they're just kind of bland and uninspired. Like it's not, I don't know.
I keep seeing references to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Kind of
like it's just a really cheap knockoff. I can't verify that, but that's what I keep reading and seeing people compare it to. You know, it sucks when someone works this hard on something that's just not received well. So, you know, I'm not here to shit all over them while they're down, but it's definitely a unique experience to have a video game, a quote unquote, we'll just call it AAA because it's a Sony exclusive, with this much effort put into it, canceled after less than 2 weeks. It's like, okay, that's usually you give something time to kind of develop, but I guess they just have zero faith in this project, which is sad.
Yeah.
So I hope,
especially for a live service game like this, I mean, it's, you know, with no real single player element, if you go online and you try and find a game and the matchmaking just doesn't pair you up with anybody because there's not enough concurrent players, like how long do you sit there waiting for like a pairing screen?
Right.
You know, I mean, I think that there's just so much bad PR that gets generated when you have a game, again, like this, that's a, you know, live service game that just isn't getting traction. It kind of probably makes it sort of impossible for it to get traction. Like it doesn't seem like there's really a way to come back from that, you know?
From what I understand, it's not dead, but the development team behind it is going to spend a lot of time reworking. It may not ever come back, but we'll see, I guess, because it's not looking well right now.
Yeah.
It just closed today, so servers are officially done. People will be getting their money back, and if you bought the physical copy, you have to take it back to the retailer. So if you want your refund, but yeah, so that's an interesting little development.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like the whole like live service game concept. You know, I mean, you look at games that came out recently, like Helldivers 2. Like when that launched, oh my gosh, literally everywhere you looked, everybody I knew was playing it. People were raving about how awesome it was. And then you find out, like, within, you know, a couple of months ago, now all of a sudden the game, you know, daily concurrent players has dropped like 50 to 80%, depending on where you're actually looking. So it just, it kind of makes me wonder, like, how much space is there in the market for more of these live service games? Because you've got stuff like
it's got to be dwindling.
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, because you've got all the big dogs. You've got your Overwatch 2. You've got your, you know, other styles of games like your, you know, League of Legends and all the people that play Call of Duty. And I mean, you know, you're going to, you know, maybe get drawn off of your main game to try out something new like Helldivers or Concord or whatever for a while. But like ultimately you're going to end up going back to it. So I feel like there's a capacity for games like this.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a game developer and I'm by no means a marketing expert, but everything that I've read about Concord seems to be that the game almost seems to have been come up by almost like a marketing department and not really by people with a lot of gaming experience, and got launched into the market without really enough hype. You know, it doesn't seem like
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I never heard of it. I mean, usually for games like this, you find, you know, there's streamers that they give early access codes to. You know, you see people giving, you know, putting out reviews, and there's, you know, YouTube videos with all sorts of, you know, live play footage. I didn't see literally any of that, and I'm sure it is out there. I just didn't see it. So yeah, I don't know.
I think there is definitely a ceiling for this kind of game because you've got. First of all, the hurdle you have to clear is Blizzard.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the market on a hero shooter. I'm sorry, Overwatch is it. And it was the first, or maybe not the first, but it's definitely the one that people latched onto. They've got tournaments. They still get players out the butt. and people love it, and that's great. But at the same time, when your hurdle is the essentially the gold medal Olympics player, and you're just at a concept, you have to bring something to the table that is going to take people away from that.
Right.
And with a live service game, it's just, we've got Helldivers, we've got Apex, we've got, I don't know. What the point is that there are so many of the same type of game.
Yeah.
And you're not bringing anything necessarily new to the table. Right. It's like, what's the point? And
right.
now you're asking to be a live service game where people are going to have to spend money. Okay, you need to be offering something that the others aren't, or you need to be doing something that's at least interesting, because just being a player does not make you successful.
Right.
And I think that's kind of how they went into it. It's like, well, this is working for other people, so let's make one ourselves. And that's not a good method to think about it.
Unless you're really doing innovative stuff that's going to blow the doors off of your Overwatches of the world. Like, what's the incentive for somebody who's already playing Overwatch and heavily invested in it and has a bunch of unlocks and has a bunch of this, that, and the other to go start the process all over with another game that isn't really doing anything significantly different or new? Like, it's just
right.
There's no draw, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm deep down inside, I'm hoping this is the beginning of the end for live service crap. I'm just tired of it. And I know it's not, and I know that's not realistic, but I just want games to come back to being something that are passion projects, that are something that the developers care about and are complete when they release. That's all I want. It can be a multiplayer game and still be a one and done. Like, you can have servers and maintain and fix bugs if there are any, but you don't need to continuously feed our brains of this gotta have it mentality. Like, there has to be an end. And I know that's not capitalism, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
Let's go on to something more cheerful. How is your new game?
Oh, Astrobot?
Have you played it yet?
No. I got home like, I don't know, 45 minutes ago and ate dinner, and I basically got it installing so that when my son does get a chance to play, he doesn't have to wait for it to install and patch if necessary. So we're probably not going to tell him that we got it tonight because it's already edging on bedtime for him. So it'll be a nice surprise for him tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's from all the reviews that I've seen of Astrobot, it looks just absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's one review that I read that likened it to the new generation's Mario 64, and if it can live up to that,
that's pretty good.
That'll be a memorable
let me tell
game.
You, I spent hours on Playroom or Astrobot's Playground or whatever.
The game that came with the PS5, just to show you how to use the haptics in the controller. It's a great game.
The haptics that no one else utilizes.
Yeah. Great game.
So bothersome. But great game. I really enjoyed it. And it has me on the fence. I've been thinking about getting Astrobot, so I might just do that.
Hey, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. So today, ladies and gentlemen, if you could not tell by the title of the podcast, today's episode is about Axelay, a very obscure shoot-'em-up game for the Super Nintendo. Jesse, I was surprised to hear that you've actually played this.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people I know have, so I would love to hear your impressions of it. And you said you maybe had time to sit down with it today, maybe not.
I didn't, unfortunately, but that's okay.
That's all right.
I still remember it pretty well. I did play this. I actually owned a copy of it, amazingly enough. I think this is one of the first games that I saw in a Nintendo Power magazine, and the article wowed me because of it's a side-scrolling and top-scrolling spaceship-y type shooter, just like so many other games. But the way that they mess with the perspective, at least in the top-down levels, was really innovative for the time. And it wasn't 3D, but it was getting as close to 3D as a Super Nintendo would be able to get.
Absolutely.
So I remember being really impressed by it when I read the article. I didn't end up getting it like, right when it came out. I think I actually got it a couple of years later, but yeah, really, really cool game, great gameplay, very innovative in a lot of ways. And it was kind of like, it was almost like an upgraded version of Life Force for NES.
Yeah, I got you there.
I mean, I guess you could say Gradius 3 was probably the upgraded version of Life Force for SNES, but Axelay was like kind of the natural progression of it. To the point that there were even some stages that, messed with the horizon. So it looked like you were flying around a globe, and some of them actually had almost like maze-like areas that you'd have to like blow holes in the wall and fly between, these like pillars. It was very, very cool, and the way that they played with perspective was pretty impressive.
Yeah, they kind of flip-flop between side-scrolling left to right and mode 7, which is the top-down. So your ship is at the bottom of the screen and you're flying up. So it forces you. It's kind of cool because it kind of forces you to learn two ways to play, whereas most shoot-'em-ups are one or the other, top-down or left to right. And then what really grabbed me initially when my brother brought it home, it was the fucking pixel work. The artwork on this game is fucking phenomenal. I will say that this came out in 92, which is after, I believe, it came out after Super R-Type, which is, quote unquote, the king of shooters, they say.
Gradius 3 is better.
I would believe it's after Gradius 3 as well, but I'm not positive on that.
That's a good question.
But I will say that it came out of nowhere, and it's going up against two giants, right? You've got Gradius and R-Type that have been around for years at this point, and this one just brought a whole new level of innovation to the table, and I really took to it because the sprite work, number one, was just so engaging, and there is so much on screen at any given moment that this is an intense game. And then the music, oh my God, I was blown away by it. It was at the time in 92, there weren't a whole lot of titles that felt very engrossing. I mean, there were titles, there were like your Final Fantasy 4s and your Super Castlevania 4, but man, when you listen to it with headphones and while you're playing it, it's an experience. And the composer is Taro Kudo, very good composer, and he's a former Konami Kokeha Club composer, which is, I think that is their like in-house sound studio. And he did this soundtrack, and he had his fingers in Super Castlevania 4, I believe. But this was my first soundtrack from him that I had ever heard, and this hooked me, and it really makes playing the game a very wild experience.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading some reviews in, again, Nintendo Power, and I feel like there was another video game periodical around that time. I just can't remember what it was, but it got like really, really, really highly ranked when it came out. I was looking at some of the reviews from back in the day, and the game was scoring like, 85%, 90%, 92% was like the highest that I saw. So I'm looking forward to digging into it tomorrow morning to see how well it holds up. I get the feeling it's going to hold up pretty well because like shooters like this, I mean, you can go back and play them and they're still going to be a blast.
Yeah, I picked it up for my Steam Deck, as I've mentioned before. My Steam Deck is my retro machine, so I've got a lot of Super Nintendo and Nintendo games on there, and this is one of them. And I picked it up a couple months ago, and I promptly got my ass kicked. Still fun, that's for sure. Yeah,
I took a look at some of the release dates so we can kind of put them in perspective. So Gradius 3. The godfather of the 16-bit generation of shooters, came out December 11th, 1989. Super R-Type, July 13th, 1991. And then Axelay was September 11th, 1992. So, I mean, it's not like the end of the SNES lifespan. No. I don't think the N64 came out until like 95 or 96, something like that.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo at that point, at the time this came out, you still had at least 4 years of Super Nintendo life.
Oh, yeah. So, but I mean, even looking at some of the live play for this game, like it really pushed the SNES and the hardware in it to its limits.
Absolutely.
They did stuff in this game. Like, I remember one thing that kind of blew my mind was seeing parts of some of the sprites actually rotate, like not little guns that are like changing direction and stuff on this big static thing. But I remember distinctly there's this one boss in one of the side scrolling levels that's like a two-legged giant robot.
Yep. It's the one thing I remember so well.
It shoots a giant laser beam from its face.
Yeah. Yep.
But it doesn't just like click, like the head doesn't just like click up at an angle like you'd expect it to. It actually sweeps upwards, which I guess, when I was doing some reading, rotation on sprites was actually a very new technology at around the time this game came out. And it was pretty tough to program. So pretty damn cool.
The big thing with the Super Nintendo was Mode 7, which allowed that scaling and rotating of layers. And Nintendo pushed that a lot. I believe all of the launch titles, they were required to showcase it at least in some way.
Very cool.
So yeah, Mode 7 is big for Super Nintendo. And it did add a lot of that faux 3D flair to this game that I think it really served it very well. Maybe the last thing I'll say about the gameplay is just that they found a way to have so much on screen with very little lag, which is something other shooters struggle with. I don't know how they did it, but they did a very good job at making it a pretty fluid experience. So
it almost feels like playing Contra 3, but in space. Like the feel of the game is very similar in many ways to me.
Absolutely. Taro Kudo composed a highly detail-oriented soundtrack to an experimental shooter. It changed, again, from the top-down Mode 7 heavy levels to left and right. And it really allowed the player to stay focused on the game and not get bored. I think by switching left and right and top down, it keeps you a little on your toes. You're learning, again, two different ways to play. So the soundtrack itself is very unique. It's got a blend of energetic anthems and brooding electronica. His level themes utilize a lot of beautiful and triumphant horns, while the darkness and boss themes tend to lean into, I would say, futuristic and threatening digitized melodies. I'm sure you noticed there's a lot of faux electronic sounds and alarms that go off in certain points. Very cool. It captures the setting. Like, you're in enemy territory, you're hearing alarms, you're hearing digitized beeps and sweeps that kind of go through the level. And it's incorporated into the music into really cool ways, I think. The first song I wanted to mention would actually be the first level, and that track is called Unkai. It's a soft intro to the album. It's got a nice ramping up of tempo and melody, and resolves into a heroic and exciting theme that plays up the game's Japanese anime influence. The horns are extremely prominent on this track and really sing the praise of the protagonist. You don't have much of a character, but you are the hero. So you're flying the ship and you're going to save the solar system. It really does feel with this song that you're starting that journey to success. This is the start of the adventure, and like the game itself, the song has a lot of subtlety and intricacies with a very soft underbelly of strings that get their own midsection. Underneath that heroism I was talking about is just a hint of danger and darkness, which really rounds out the track pretty nicely.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like the most about this particular track is the kind of reserved but really effective use of percussion. Like, it opens up with some, synthesized like hi-hat, and you get some, cymbals kind of mixed in, and it's not like you're listening to a drum solo. It's just used in a very like reserved and effective way. The other thing that's kind of cool about this song and a lot of other songs in the soundtrack is that I think that they're composed in a way that's going to mesh a little bit more with all the other noise that's happening in the game. Because, any kind of shooter, there's always going to be a whole bunch of that. I mean, missiles and plasma lances and explosions, and, there's always going to be a lot of other sound effects. So if you've got a really busy soundtrack, while it might seem super cool to just listen to on its own, it can just kind of sound kind of muddy and messy when you integrate it with the rest of the sound design in the game. This soundtrack really complements the rest of the sound design rather than sort of like playing in competition to it. And
absolutely,
this song actually really epitomizes that pretty well. It's like you almost, when you're listening to it on its own, you almost feel like it could have maybe just an extra layer. But then when you're playing through the game, it just meshes seamlessly with it. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I would equate that to a little bit of the flow state. There is a lot of grooviness to the soundtrack, but in this song specifically, I feel like you're right. It kind of accompanies you without getting in the way of what's happening on the screen. And I think this really allows the player to listen, to be enjoying the soundtrack and kind of focus on what's going on screen. The perfect song to open the album in terms of levels, because it's adventurous, it's exciting, it's not over the top, but it hints at kind of the adventure to come, and I like it.
I was kind of thinking about what songs really stood out to me the most on this album, and there's a lot of really great tunes and a lot of really great, like, sort of sci-fi, generic shooter tracks. But there's one in particular that I think is really innovative, and it's Cosmic Dance.
Oh, yeah.
It is such a freaking cool song. And, like, it starts off, pretty slow. You've got this, just kind of this light chiming that's in the background with some horns, but then that chiming just continues through the whole track, and you start getting these sort of like little weird electronica sound effects that are almost a little unnerving. I'm
pretty sure this accompanies that boss you were just talking about.
Oh, does it really?
I think it does.
Oh, that's great.
It's that two-legged alien head thing that shoots laser beams at. I'm almost positive, but I could be wrong. It's a very evocative piece. This is very dark, and then I'm sorry, you go ahead. This is your choice.
No, actually, I kind of had said my initial piece. I'd keep going. I want to hear what you're saying. This is interesting.
It's completely different than everything else on the album, in my opinion. It incorporates some of those things I was talking about with the electronic beeps. It sounds more like you're in enemy territory, alarms are going off, and you've got those digitized electronica, those futuristic noises that are somewhat stereotypical, but they really add this element of danger to the situation. And what's really unique about this song is that the last 20 seconds or so turns into like an homage to the main theme of the game in a really subdued way, which is, it's weird. The main theme comes through, the bass picks up a little bit, and like this organ plays the main theme, and then it goes right back into this brooding, uncomfortable electronica alarm-filled song. But it's a really fun listen. It's
almost got like a spookiness to it. Like, it's it's like you're fighting against like an unknowable AI before we even really knew what unknowable AIs were, as kids. Like that wouldn't have really resonated with us, but it's a little unnerving, a little creepy. It's super effective. Really great song.
And it's something that is uncommon, I would say. Maybe not unheard of, but uncommon for a shoot 'em up game to be this kind of subdued. Let what's happening on screen be the focus of your attention. The music is really playing a little bit of a backseat here, but it's got just a nice groove to it. Very unique song, and I do have a fondness for this one. From what I understand, this song was remixed by Masanori Adachi, someone who composed Castlevania 4.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
you know what it reminds me of? It's not as subdued, because this other example is it's really just almost like background noise, just creepy, spooky background noise. But it makes me think of the first time that you play Super Metroid and, you land and there's no music. You're just kind of like exploring the area. There's like that really, really low background, BGM, I guess you'd call it.
It's like lightning.
Things just seem a little weird and unnerving. It's very similar in many ways to that. Just this is more of like a, mechanical sort of electronic feeling rather than more of an organic, jump scare sort of feeling that you get from that game. But yeah, Absolutely. It evokes a lot of the same feelings.
Absolutely. Did you ever beat this game, by the way?
No, you kidding me?
I didn't either. I was really hoping I did, and I looked at...
I did beat it, but I mean, as with so many other games that are as hard as this in the NES and SNES generation, it was with the assistance of my beloved Game Genie.
Game Genie.
Yep. I actually watched a really cool mini documentary about the story behind Game Genie. You can look it up on YouTube. It's absolutely worth a watch. Probably about 15 or 20 minutes. But yeah, the Codemasters team and the legal battle that they actually fought against Nintendo and won, which is unfreaking heard of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely look it up. But we can talk about that another time.
So I was thinking today. I was finishing my notes, and I was like, did I beat this game? I don't think I did. And then I looked up the final boss. Nope. Definitely didn't get here.
Nope.
This game is so fucking hard, but it's such a blast to play. The next song I was interested in, and that really sticks out to me, is Mother. I always include this song on my super hits playlist, and it just has so much life and enthusiasm. I mean, it's another vibrant track. And the trumpets are really heroic here, very adventurous. It actually reminds me, in terms of structure, of a track from Cybernator, which I covered a couple years ago. Very bass heavy to begin, and it has a lot of deep drums, and they provide that really constant backbone. And it plays both sides of your ears when you're listening on headphones. Very, very awesome sound. It's such a deep and percussive track, as are a lot of songs on this album. But what helps set this one apart is the slower yet thundering toms in the beginning. They just give way to a faster midsection to swing the song into an even more exciting action. It's just a joy to listen to, and has such a groove to it that it's hard not to move to it. It's not, got to tap your foot when you're listening to this one, especially when it gets towards the end. The song just picks up. I love it.
Yeah, it's got a real pop to it. It's got a much different pacing than most of the other songs on the soundtrack. A little bit faster, The horns are a little bit more pronounced. And it's just like, man, it's got a great groove. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it just does. It's fantastic. And one thing that you mentioned just a second ago, I think is definitely worth repeating, and that's this and a bunch of other songs on the soundtrack's use of the stereo channels. Because,
oh man,
I was listening to these songs in the car while I was driving around today, just kind of prepping, getting my head around what I was going to pick. And it wasn't until I sat down just before the recording and listened to it on headphones that I realized that, oh no, this, like, the composer is making use of both right and left channels. There's, instruments that are shifting between my ears, and it just makes for a very engrossing listen. And it makes me really, when I do end up playing the game, hopefully tomorrow morning, now I know I am for sure going to be playing it with headphones on and not just through the speakers, because I think it's really going to be a much more kind of enriching and engrossing experience. It's great stuff.
Absolutely. Again, this whole album is utilized very well. Taro Kudo does a fantastic job really pushing the sound chip to its limits and making a crisp and polished soundtrack. But on this song in particular, you can hear that if you were to roll the kit, right, you've got a drum set in front of you and you sweep the kit, you do hit all the toms and the snare, you're going to hear that in your ears going from left channel to right channel because certain toms are on the right and certain toms are on the left. It's so cool to be utilized in this way in 1992 on a video game. It's very, very impactful, and not a lot of people did it.
No. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, we're talking about the game utilizing both channels and how it's kind of innovative for the time. And you get back to thinking about it. And most of the time for games in this era, sometimes if you went into the options, you could choose between mono and stereo because that still mattered for some TVs back then.
Absolutely.
But really, almost no matter what, even if you had it on stereo, like speakers weren't really advanced enough that you could tell much of a difference most of the time. So being able to go back and appreciate them the way that they were kind of intended to be consumed is really cool, especially because it gives you a very different experience. And
absolutely,
the song that I was going to pick next, I think actually really exemplifies what the use of both of those channels can do for a song, and that's Danger. It's a great one. It starts off really kind of quiet and droning. There's some weird kind of almost like alien or monster noises in the background, and then the song just kind of slowly builds, and you get this really light percussion that's just kind of almost doing like a figure eight from one ear to the other, back and back. And then the song starts to kind of pick up, and it's great. You can tell that this is a late song in the game, probably getting towards like a final boss type thing. It really made an impression on me, and it's actually, I think it might be the longest song on the soundtrack. It's almost 4 minutes. It doesn't really get old though.
Yeah, 4:12 is what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah, one of the few songs that breach 4 minutes. But yes, you are correct. I believe this is the very last section leading up to the final boss, and I think my favorite thing is that alien voice that you hear come through at
like
times.
Halfway through almost, yeah. It's great.
Oh my god, I fucking love it. To comment on what you were saying earlier about Metroid, I think this fits that as well. At least in the beginning and the end, when the loop starts over, I think that really low choir, almost kind of haunting sounds. The drums are a little bit more subdued, and it feels more atmospheric than anything. And the slow build of this song is extremely tense, and then that alien voice Part of why I like this soundtrack so much is because of that electronica. The idea that Kudo was taking time not just to compose music, but to incorporate things that sound off. They sound alien. They sound foreign to what what you should be hearing as part of the songs. I think that's just really innovative and very cool to listen to.
Yeah, like we've talked about it this whole time, and I've been listening to it. The song's not done, and like I kind of want to finish listening to it. It's pretty great. It even has some like it even has a section in the middle that sounds like he uses like an organ, like a pipe organ. It's very, very cool, and not something you hear in I think probably any of the other songs on the track list. Very, very, very neat stuff, man.
Not to go over every song on the album, but the last one I wanted to mention is Cosmos. This is the final stage theme, and it's highly evocative of the situation you find yourself in. It's a dangerous stage. This really tests everything you've learned so far in the video game. What really grabs me about it is the muted intro with the main theme just kind of peppered in. You know, like most stages, it's got that theme in it, but this one evolves into this kind of medium tempo anthem with light strings and horns rather than an explosive spectacle. The stage itself is frantic, so I think it's always interesting when the music kind of lies low to kind of give way to the action on screen. The percussion on this song, as always throughout the album, extremely powerful and is rightfully the loudest instrument sonically on this song. On this stage, it feels like it's magnifying the scale of the battle. You're deep in enemy territory here. It's just a pleasure to listen to. And one other thing that grabbed me about it is that I feel like it could easily be the final boss theme. With that slower intro, the hint of the main theme, and the theme of the song when it gets going, it's just extremely elegant. Could easily be the theme to the end fight for me, but that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, it's got a really epic kind of feel to it.
It does.
It's I mean, it's way, way, way more toned down than this, but I keep comparing stuff in this game to stuff from other games, which is kind of funny. It's not really something that I usually do, but this sounds kind of like not the very last Lavos from Chrono Trigger, but like the one kind of in the middle, like the middle one.
Yeah.
It has a really similar feel to it, like that kind of grand scale, the driving beat, the just the intensity of it. It's really, really well done. Yeah.
God, I'm just listening to it now. Got such a driving beat, and then it just slowly escalates, but it doesn't get too crazy, and that's kind of what draws me to it. It's very mid-range.
I think I kind of waffled a little bit on what my third pick was going to be. I think for me, it's got to be Toughness, Part 1 in particular. It's kind of wild. Like it starts off really with a sound effect. I mean, it's an explosion. And then as soon as the song kicks in, it's got a real bright, almost like, 80s horns vibrancy to it. And this, I mean, to me, not having finished the game but once and not having a very sharp memory for it, this sounds to me like a song that has to be playing when you're trying to escape, like a destroyed base. Like the explosion sound effects in the background and just the beat of it makes me feel like you're trying to dodge your way through, maybe hallways or corridors in a base that's in the middle of collapsing.
Absolutely.
Really, it evokes a feeling of danger, really, more than I think even the song Danger. Go figure.
Yeah, they actually, that horn section, that very vibrant success is really the end of the level theme for when you beat a level or whatever. Hey, you did it, and now gear up for the next level. So they kind of psych you out for that, and you're exactly correct. It is an escape, and it is, you are ambushed by the final boss as you're escaping, and you have to kill him for a third time. And
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a great song, because the explosion effect is kind of cool in the beginning, but it continues for the whole song, which does make it get a little bit old, even by the time you get to the middle. So
right.
Yeah, I think that the song probably could have been a little bit more effective if that had just, maybe taken place at the beginning and then given way to the rest of the instrumentals. Mm-hmm. But, there is a noiseless version of the song on the soundtrack that I'm listening to, which in the end, I do actually like quite a bit better. I kind of wanted to comment on the fact that the original version, the Toughness Part 1 with the background effect was, it didn't land quite the way that I'd really like it to, but the noiseless one, top notch stuff.
Top notch. Oh man. Yeah. What an album, man. Konami had a reputation, at least with myself. I don't know why, but I always had this, perception of their soundtracks. You could tell immediately what was a Konami soundtrack in the SNES era. And each soundtrack is very distinctly Konami. They utilized their own exceedingly polished sounds. It helped, of course, that they were employing amazing composers like Taro Kudo and Masanori Adachi. I hinted at Masanori's greatness earlier when I mentioned he did Super Castlevania 4. That review is coming. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. But Taro Kudo developed a soundtrack to this extremely unique shoot 'em up. I think it's a boundary-pushing title. What's even more impressive is that, again, this released in 92 in America. We had, again, 4 more years of SNES life at this time. And this game just kind of put a clinic on how to create a game for new hardware. And
yeah,
I mean, this is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very polished product, and it was very exciting and enjoyable. The last thing I want to say about Taro Kudo is that he's a musical beast here. I won't call him a one-hit wonder. He has this soundtrack, and he has his fingers in Castlevania 4's soundtrack, and that's essentially it. Other than that, he spends most of his time doing voice work and directing things, and I think that's a travesty. I think this guy's... Not that what he's doing is bad, it's just I need him to compose more, because this one is easily one of the best Super Nintendo soundtracks out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't believe this is the last thing he ever did sonically, but it is. From what I found, I looked plenty of places. I can't find anything else. Maybe he was a sound engineer on other games, but composing, this is it. So, goddamn.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, like, Konami was really knocking it out of the park around this time. I mean, you look at, two of arguably the best games that came out on the SNES came out in the same year, and they're both Konami titles. Axelay, which is definitely in probably my top 15 games, and then Contra 3, which is in my top 5. Oh, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I mean, the soundtrack in that game is really solid. When you go back and listen to it, there's really only 2 or 3 tracks that are really, really good. But Axelay, the whole soundtrack, top to bottom, I don't have much to complain about any of the songs aside from that one that had a little too much background noise. And whew, man, great stuff.
Yeah. The game is not available for vinyl purchase, unfortunately, the soundtrack. But you can easily listen to it online. Just check the usual stuff, YouTube, whatever. They may have it on Spotify. I didn't look, but because it's very easy to find. I encourage everyone to find Taro Kudo and show him some love. Cannot find out how to contact this guy, website or Twitter. I don't know that he does that. So call Nintendo, get Mr. Nintendo on the phone, say, hey, that Taro Kudo guy you've got editing text on the re-release of Super Mario RPG, make him compose some more music because I would like to hear something fresh from this guy. And I need your help to do it, so we need to mobilize. Jesse, what would you rate this soundtrack?
Oh, geez. I mean, for me, I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's one of the best soundtracks on the system because there's some pretty high bars to go up against in the likes of some other games. But in terms of this genre of games, I would have to put it like top of the pack for its time. So I'm going to go ahead and give it 9 out of 10. Oh, crud. What was my favorite boss's name? The big lava dude. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's gone from my memory. That's
everyone's favorite.
It's got to be everybody's favorite. Whaler. That's his name. I had to look it up. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 Whalers.
I'm going to be lame. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 D117B Fighters.
Yours was better than mine. That's fine. Oh, I should have called it I should have done 9 out of 10 Arachnotrons. That's a dope ass boss.
There
name.
you go.
Crap.
There you go. Well, you failed. So,
yeah.
Can't go back now. It's on tape. So,
yep.
That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. Jesse will rethink his decisions in life, and we will catch you next time.
See y'all.
Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, please rate and subscribe. We very much appreciate it. Also visit our brand new website, magusmediaproductions.net, to get all information on every show. See you next time.
Well, hello there, Internet people. My name is Josh, and I am one of the hosts of the Nastagram RPG podcast. We're an actual play podcast, and we're good. And why are we good? Well, let's let the other host tell you. Dan.
Hey, everyone. If you like authentic, real-world sound effects, our lasers go pew-pew.
I love it. Matt.
Skip me. Coming back to Matt.
Ryan.
Okay, so after 2 decades of trying, we finally mastered the 3.5 grapple. We didn't. Never mind.
Try again.
Scratch that.
Check it out. Look it up.
John?
If you're looking for a RPG podcast that plays a whole hell of a lot of games, we like to spice the life.
Spice it up.
Spice it up.
Matt, you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. If you enjoy bad accents and overacting, you'll enjoy our podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And Jake, bring us home.
I like to just say, we didn't just throw a phone on the table and hit record. Like, Josh does a damn good job with the editing. And
Facts.
if you care about that, you will not be disappointed.
That's right. We spent a bunch of money that we don't make on the podcast.
100%.
So check us out, Nastagram RPG Podcast. You can find us on all the goddamn podcast apps, and we'll see you there.
That's nasty.